Hello everyone, you guys are great on the channel, and in today's video I'll show you what happened with spray painting and all its pros and cons of this very painting. I'll tell you in this video. I'll show you at the same time I tested it with a screwdriver, with a knife, in general, how it all comes off, but you've seen it here already. I've tried it now and I'll tell you about everything, so be sure to subscribe, like it. Let's go with the very first test. I just run it with a screwdriver. Yes, nothing is visible. I scratch it with a screwdriver. Yes, it's clear that there may be small scratches that remain in strength. That is, well, we can't see it. The paint disappears with a fingernail. That's the most popular comment that I liked and didn't infuriate, but the paint doesn't come off with a fingernail, it just doesn't rub off. It's a lot of paint that I ordered, it's just that, well, no way. It doesn't want the word at all. The next tough test is this. In general, I just take a knife, a sharp knife, and just paint it. It's easy. You can basically clean the whole frame just like that, and it's all there. That is mechanical damage like that. Lean it somewhere against the curb, well, there, for example, or it will remain against the wall, just like that. Deep, that is, it can easily be torn off by some sharp object. If you just hit nothing there, there's nothing at all. But the main disadvantage is why I actually decided to repaint this frame later with normal paint and all 2-component varnish. So I take a rag soaked in simple gasoline. I'm already taking the pillbox to the ground there. Somehow I don't remember it's called correctly. Well, for carbon for plastic. White, someone who watched the video of when I painted will understand what kind of ground it is. That is, I rub further. I completely erased all these layers that there was primer and then dark primer, in my opinion, and Cerebrianca, and knee paint, and a layer of varnish. That is, I can clean almost the entire frame with simple gasoline and a rag. And here is the place where I had already rubbed it before. Scratched it with a knife, so to speak. I take the rag again. We see white, yes, the ground, and there's a little bit of Cerebrianca. That's the kind of underscore that turns out. But if you ride there carefully somewhere along the highway, it's clean, not in some bushes. And don't lean against the bike somewhere. There are sharp objects. Well, there are some kind of railings there, or I don't know, curbs, and so on, something, some kind of building. Then everything will be fine. Next, now let's look at another defect that I discovered over time. The next thing I'll show you is a defect that, as I said, I later saw from a distance. For example, on this one, and generally no one, and he won't see life if you don't tell me. But then when I started to clean the frame, that's all. By the way, I washed everything off. In principle, everything was okay with the frame, nothing cracked, no cracks, but when I looked closely, a cobweb appeared. That is, a cobweb on all the paint or varnish in general is shorter than rubbish. but I'm saying this right when zooming in, I don't know how much is needed, then you'll just notice this here, it's clearly visible right here, the varnish is just cracked, take it if I'm just here on it. This distance I'll show you, damn, it's perfect, perfectly even, right at the beginning, yes, that's how it was when I painted it from a spray can, everything was just evenly gorgeous, but then, even with my fingernail I take it and I feel how it clings with this very nail to these cracks. If to summarize what you should do, and what I will do, I have already decided I will paint with normal paint. I will tell you this for comparison and in order to understand what is better. Simple, first, that it is cheap and you can paint it yourself at home without any there are additional tools. You really don't need a compressor or a gun, you don't need anything. Actually, as they say, the stingy pays twice, but here I wouldn't say that. This is a cheap option. Because if that's how I got the candy paint, it costs a can of 520 ml, in my opinion. About there, in my opinion, 1,500 rubles are cheaper. Of course, take a can of all this then into pistols and so on, and so on, and so on, but also paint it. I got 4,000 for the paint that I will paint. But all this, I only got 2C5, about thousands of rubles, so this is a cheaper option on, well, not that much but cheaper, but not as high quality as it will be, because the whole catch is in the varnish. Because I think if I had a two-component varnish with a hardener, then I would just do it. It would have been covered, it could have been polished, then it would have been perfect and there wouldn't have been these cracks that I showed earlier. Well, what will I do next? Actually, how will I paint this whole frame, in what color? Well, the color will be green. That's because the name of the bike is green after all, and it needs to be naked. That is, it would be, that is, it needs to be green too, so don't forget to subscribe right now. Click the subscribe button and give this video, because spring is coming soon. I know probably the video, in principle, this will come out right away, because why bother? So what I still have to do is clean the steering wheel and the fork. Then remove the connecting rods in those hard to reach places, clean and sand everything, and you can, in principle, paint it later, but paint it when it's ready. The heat is at least plus 15 for the paint to set properly and dry, but now I'm still turning this at home on a machine, which is basically enough. In general, you have to make a choice or paint from a spray can, and then all this will come out sideways for you, because I repeat once, the first is that the varnish is cracked, the second is that it is not a strong varnish, the third is that you can erase it, it's just trivial. Then with gasoline, just wet it with a rag and it's CANT be erased right away, of course, with one movement, but all this can be erased. I've shown you exactly how it's done. What do they say here? It's better to paint it in a normal paint shop, or whatever the correct paint station of the workshop is, and it's also not a fact that the guy who will paint you will paint it with normal paint. He can paint it with normal paint and cover it with varnish, well, with a good varnish, so take this into account. Well, on that's all. Andre was with you, good luck to everyone and see you until the new paintings.